Now, just to help situate you, we are streaming to YouTube, live from ForSpace. We are located here on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. Here at ForSpace, we work with our university community to help mobilize knowledge by co-creating daily activities that examine research questions, projects, things happening across the university. We're also welcoming guests today for today's competition in the Zoom meeting. So those of you joining us there, we welcome your comments and questions in the chat. For those of you here in the space during the Q&A, if you have questions, just raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone over to you so that everyone can hear. And finally, we will also be running an online survey following the presentations for the People's Choice Award. And there's a QR code visible on the main title screen in Zoom. And for those of you here in the space, that QR code is on the large screen. Okay, with that, it's now my pleasure to pass things over to doctoral student in health and exercise science, also the first place winner in the PhD category in last year's competition, Emma Chaumun Chen. Emma, great to have you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the 2025 Concordia 3-minute thesis. My name is Emma, and I'm so thrilled today to be your Masters of Ceremonies. So bonjour et bienvenue au Concours ma thèse en 180 secondes, le 14e d'être tenu ici à Concordia. Mon nom est Emma et je serai maître de cérémonie pour l'aujourd'hui. So thank you so much for tuning in to support our participants today. And we're thrilled to have all of our presenters performing live to everyone here in the audience, on Zoom, and to our judges. As our participant in last year's competition, I can appreciate the complexity that goes into crafting the perfect script, trying to memorize it over the few weeks that we have, and also adding in our performance aspects and our stage presence. So to our presenters here today, you've all worked so hard to get to where you are. I know you'll do great and have fun out there. To our audience, we're excited to have you here to hear some of the amazing presentations that we have and learn in about 3 minutes or less some of the outstanding research taking place at Concordia University. So a brief overview for today's presentation. So we have 14 presentations today that are divided into 2 rounds. We have our English presentations, which will go first, followed by 3 presentations in French. We will then invite you, our viewers, to vote on your People's Choice Award, so your favorite presentation from today. While the judges deliberate, we'll have a Q&A session where you can ask our participants about their 3-minute thesis experience or any questions about their research. And then you can also do that by either posting questions in the Zoom chat or by raising your hand in the space, and someone will bring a microphone to you. Finally, when the judges have made their decision, they will announce the winners. So I would now like to welcome Dr. Rachel Berger, the Associate Dean of Academic Programs and Development, to say a few words.
Thanks, Emma, and hi, everyone. How you doing? We're doing good? Let me hear it. How you doing? It's Friday afternoon. It's March. It's not snowing. We're good? And hello to everyone online. We're delighted to welcome you to the 14th edition of the 3-minute thesis competition at Concordia University. Over the past 14 years, the 3-minute thesis competition has brought much pride to Concordia. Our students have won the national championship 3 times. Ana Maria Medina Ramirez in 2016, Nusha Arizi in 2019, and most recently, Ria Dutta in 2023. Ria went on to represent Concordia and Canada at the North American level. Additionally, in the ma thèse en 180 competition, Vanessa Mardirosian earned 3rd place at the Finale Nationale in 2020, further showcasing the excellence of our graduate researchers. Last year, our PhD winner, Emma Chaumun Chen, won the Eastern Regionals and participated in the CAGS National Showcase, continuing Concordia's strong tradition of success in these competitions. We have had the pleasure of coaching students on their research pitch and being at the other side of the table judging their communication skills. We have watched our students blossom from jargon-riddled, rambling, cryptic scripts, just like me, to create compelling, thought-provoking, and inviting stories. Thank you to all of our coaches over the years. For those listeners who are tuning into their first 3-minute thesis competition, I would like to take a moment to provide a little background on this international event. This annual competition started at the University of Queensland in 2008, but it quickly became a worldwide event. Now this competition is held in approximately 900 universities in 85 countries. The competition has also been adapted to other languages, including the French version in which we participate. The challenge of the 3-minute thesis program is for graduate students to clearly communicate the essence and importance of their research to a non-specialist audience with just one static PowerPoint slide. Imagine, after spending long months or years toiling away at your research and then having to squeeze it into only a 3-minute summary without diluting it or omitting major points. This is a challenge worthy of any mind. According to the University of Queensland, it takes almost 9 hours to present an 80,000-word thesis. And despite our growing ability to sit through 9 hours of the latest Netflix series, I doubt anyone is up for a 9-hour thesis presentation today. This year, we invited all of our graduate students to participate in this competition. 40 students joined the challenge for 3MT coaching, and 14 finalists have made it to today's competition. After the presentation, our judges will select a winner, a first runner-up, and a second runner-up. You, the audience, will also have the opportunity to vote for People's Choice Award, and Emma will explain how that works after the participants' presentations. From our finalists, the judges will select one presenter to represent Concordia at the Northeastern Association of Graduate Schools 3MT competition on April 25th, at the 3MT Eastern Regional competition hosted at Memorial University of Newfoundland on June 4th. The judges will also choose a winner from the Francophone presenters to present Concordia at ma thèse en 180 secondes at the 92nd Congress of ECFAS on May 7th, which is happening here at Concordia. I salute all the participants for their courage to accept this in-person challenge. I wish them the best of luck, and I really hope you take advantage and enjoy your moment to shine. So I'm going to invite Emma, the 2024 3-minute thesis PhD winner and Masters of Ceremonies today, to introduce you to our judges. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Berger. I would now like to introduce our esteemed judges who have graciously accepted and offered their time today. They have the tough job of selecting one of our presenters to advance. So our first judge for today is Dr. Rilla Khalid. She's the Associate Professor of Computation Arts at Concordia University, and she is co-director of the Technocultural Arts and Games Research Center, a co-chair of the university-wide Strive, Standing Together Against Racism and Identity-Based Violence task force. Her work focuses on how playful media can improve daily life, establishing foundations for recoverable materials-based game design research, articulating boundaries for social and ethical uses of AI through design of edge cases, theorizing design and reflection, creating speculative prototypes of near future technologies, designing award-winning learning games, and working with BIPOC communities to materialize inclusive futures. Our second judge is Lisa White, the inaugural Executive Director of Equity at Concordia University. Lisa began her advocacy and policy work in academic spaces when she joined the Concordia Student Union Advocacy Center in 2006. A Concordia alum, she's held key administrative roles such as Director of the Office of Rights and Responsibilities and leading the newly established Equity Office. Lisa now oversees the strategic implementation of recommendations centered on advancing equity, diversity, and inclusion at Concordia. Lisa's work is informed by more than a decade of experience addressing issues of discrimination and equity in higher education spaces, as well as social justice and community-based approaches. We thank you both for your time this afternoon, and we're honored to have you as our judges. Now, before we jump into today's presentations, I must tell you there are rules. So the first is that our participants can only use a single static PowerPoint slide, so that's without any animations. They cannot use any additional electronic media or props. Their presentation cannot exceed 3 minutes or they are disqualified, and the judge's decision is final. So you might be wondering, how will our participants be judged? And there are 2 criteria for this. So our first is going to be comprehension and content. So did the presenter provide clear motivation and background? Were their research approach and their findings clear? And did they clearly convey the potential impact of their research? Our second criteria is going to be engagement and communication. So how did they deliver their presentation? Was it understandable and accessible for a general audience? And to what extent did the slide complement their presentation? And did the presenter capture and maintain the audience's attention throughout the 3 minutes? Now there is money on the line. So our winner of today's competition will receive $750. The first runner-up will receive $500, and our second runner-up will receive $250. Now there is a People's Choice Award, which is voted by you, our audience, and they will also receive $250. So we invite you to share your impressions of today, support and promote this event by tagging us on social media and using the hashtags Canada3MT, hashtag 3MTCU 2025, and hashtag NT180. Good. So we'll now start with our presentations for today. So we have a total of 14 presenters. There are going to be 11 in the English competition and 3 in the Francophone competition. So let's wish all of our presenters good luck with a nice round of applause. Perfect. And our first presenter for today is Alina Gutierrez Mejia from the School of Graduate Studies. Alina is pursuing her PhD in the individualized program in social sciences, and her thesis title is What Happens When Visual Tools Are Used as a Facilitation Tool for Multilingual Cross-Functional Teams. And her 3-minute thesis title is From Confusion to Clarity, The Power of Visual Thinking. Good luck, Alina.
How many times have you sat through an endless presentation packed with text? Too many to count, right? I used to even nod at presentations, like I understood everything that was going on, while jargon flew over my head. I questioned if my English was good enough. I felt alone. And it took me years of looking around the meeting table and seeing blank stares to realize that I was not alone. The concept sometimes is just not landing. So one day, I built up the courage, grabbed a marker and a piece of paper, and I started drawing as Charlie spoke. Just like this. Charlie's complicated financial model became an easy-to-follow doodle. Soon we were taking turns. One explained, the other one doodle for everyone to see. And people jumped in the conversation like never before. I know, research has long shown that visuals enhance comprehension and retention. However, most of this research is about pre-designed static images, like infographics. There's not much about what happens when we doodle while having a conversation. And that's where my research comes in. I'm working with an organization, training some of their employees to take visual notes as they have meaningful conversations with their teams and the communities they work with. I will be collecting data through interviews, observations, and focus groups, because I want to see while they experiment with this new facilitation tool, if there's an impact in the way we collaborate and communicate. Why should we care? Because employees spend 33% of their work week in meetings, yet miscommunication causes up to $1.2 trillion a year in losses for organizations. And this is just the financial side of it. Miscommunication fuels disengagement, frustration, and increases employee turnover. And that's just the financial side of it. So imagine if just by going back to the drawing board, we can reduce all these challenges. And if you're saying, well, I cannot draw, I say you do. We all did as kids. And isn't it worth the try? If by doodling while we explain a new project, we can avoid losing weeks of hard work just to realize that your team was working in different directions. So if you remember one thing from today, I want it to be that we need to start drawing again. Not just to share our ideas, but to create a shared understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. Our next presenter is Nabeel Chaumun from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Nabeel is pursuing his master's in health and exercise science, and his thesis title is Effectiveness and Safety of Resistance Training for Individuals with Traumatic Brain Injury, a Scoping Review. And his 3-minute thesis title is Out Injured, Not for Long. Good luck, Nabeel.
What do you call a football league where the average player misses 20% of their games due to injury, has a career length of just over 3 years, and has a lifespan of 59 years after retirement? You call it the NFL. Oh no, not the National Football League, the not-for-long league. And a large contributor to that short timeline is traumatic brain injury. Now, traumatic brain injury is an injury that impairs normal brain function. Last season, the NFL recorded a whopping 219 concussions, which is a minor form of traumatic brain injury. That comes up to almost 1 concussion a year. But high-level athletes aren't the only ones affected. Take, for example, Zach Easter, a high school football player. In the early 2000s, after having suffered multiple blows, Zach spent years battling an invisible war in his head. Tragically, with no hope of recovery in sight, Zach ended up taking his own life away just over a decade later. Unfortunately, we lost Zach. And sadly, his story isn't unique. An estimated 50 to 60 million people will experience some form of traumatic brain injury every year. And this can be due to various reasons, such as car accidents or slipping on ice during the winter. If not treated early on, this can lead to devastating long-term effects, such as cognitive impairments, mental health issues, and overall decreased quality of life. But that's where my research comes in. My master's thesis looks at how safe and effective resistance exercise, like bodyweight exercise and weight training, is at treating traumatic brain injury. To do this, I'm looking at all the research that's been done on the topic, looking at what we know and what we still need to learn, and putting it together into a single review paper. The next step will be to conduct interviews with professionals in the field, as well as people who've already experienced traumatic brain injury, to help create my own original exercise protocol. This will be for a pilot study that'll look at how effective and safe these exercises are in people who've recently experienced mild traumatic brain injury by tracking any side effects that happen either during or after the exercise protocol. Resistance exercise has the potential to redefine how we treat traumatic brain injury, not just by improving physical strength, but by improving brain recovery as well. By understanding its safety and effectiveness, we can fill a significant gap in rehabilitation practices, ensuring that stories like Zach's are never repeated, and potentially helping millions of people and giving hope to them, people who've gone through similar experiences as Zach has. And with all that being said, I think it's safe to say that NFL is one step closer to truly standing for not for long. Thank you.
Thank you, Nabeel. Our next presenter is Harshitha Voleti from the Gina Cody School of Engineering and Computer Science. Harshitha is completing her master's in computer science, and her thesis title is Optimizing Ergonomic User Interfaces in Virtual Reality. Her 3-minute thesis title is Tech That Adapts So You Don't Have to. Good luck, Harshitha.
Have you ever had your arm ache from holding your phone above your face while lying in bed? At first, you try to ignore it, but eventually, you either switch hands or place your phone somewhere for support. Now, imagine that feeling. But instead of holding a phone, your arm is extended to interact in virtual reality. Welcome to the gorilla arm effect. where prolonged arm use in VR can lead to physical strain. It's like doing an arm workout you never signed up for. Even though technology has evolved significantly, we all face physical discomfort in everyday tech use. And if you think about it, we are the ones adjusting to it. We've all felt the strain from looking down at our phones or sitting with poor posture at work. These challenges persist because technology does not always account for our physical needs. And as technology becomes more immersive, like with virtual reality, these challenges don't disappear, they evolve. VR has great potential, but long use can cause physical strain, limiting how much we enjoy it. By making VR more intuitive and less physical demanding, we can unlock its full potential, and not just for entertainment, but for education, training, and even healthcare. Instead of having users adapt to VR, what if VR could adapt to them? That's where my research comes in. I'm developing an AI system that will use the headset to track arm movements and assess fatigue levels. In response, the system will adjust the buttons and the menus to more comfortable positions, reducing strain. But this system does not just react, it anticipates. By observing patterns such as frequently used buttons or natural read zones, whether you're using your right hand or your left hand, the system can optimize placement even before discomfort sets in. By designing adaptive interfaces, my goal is not just to minimize fatigue, but to make VR more accessible, engaging, and effective for everyone. Technology should work with us and not against us. So why settle for discomfort when we all deserve the best experience? Thank you.
Thank you, Harshitha. Our next presenter is Marie-Sophie Roy from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Marie-Sophie is completing her master's in biology, and her thesis title is Influence of Female Reproductive Status on Mating Behaviors of Reindeer, Rangifer Turandus. And her 3-minute thesis title is Reindeer Mating, Are Males Being Strategic? Good luck, Marie-Sophie.
Do you think finding a date is hard? Think again. We humans have it easy. We lie in bed, swipe left or right. The most effort? Maybe dressing up nicely for the first date? If you think that's tough, let me introduce you to reindeer, also known as caribou in North America. Every year during mating season, males don't just look for a mate. They compete fiercely to secure exclusive access to multiple females, and defending their group from rivals while barely eating or resting is extremely exhausting. With so much energy at stake, you think they'd be strategic. Why waste effort on a female who's already fertilized? Instead, they should focus on those who are still able to conceive to maximize their chances of passing on their genes. And that's where my research comes in. I ask, do male reindeer adjust their behavior based on female reproductive status? In a way, I'm testing when the reindeer use a filter, just like we do on dating apps. But instead of filtering by age or hobbies, theirs is female reproductive status, fertilized or unfertilized. To investigate this, a unique experiment was conducted using semi-domesticated reindeer in Finland. And by observing and analyzing male-female interactions throughout the mating season, here's what I found. Males courted more the unfertilized females, suggesting a strategic approach. Moreover, males had a higher proportion of unfertilized females close to them. This suggests that males weren't just competing for any females. They kept the unfertilized one nearby. And this could also mean that unfertilized females were positioning themselves closer to males. People often ask me, why do I study reindeer reproduction? Basic research is essential to understand how the world works. Basic research is the foundation that allows us to solve real-life problems. And by studying reindeer mating behavior, I provide rare insights into sexual selection and evolution, and it could also help conservation, especially as some populations are now endangered. My research also reminds us that humans aren't the only species making strategic choices. But unlike us, reindeer don't need dating apps to filter out bad matches. They just sniff. That said, please don't go around sniffing people. Let's stick to swiping. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie-Sophie. Our next presenter is Sanket Suresh Ingle from the Gina Coady School of Engineering and Computer Science. Sanket is completing his master's in civil engineering, and his thesis title is Safety and Stability Analysis of Gravity Dams. His 3-minute thesis title is Safety and Stability Analysis of Dams. Good luck, Sanket.
What happens if dam protecting your city fails today? Boom. Within a minute, thousands of liters of water surge downstream. Millions of people will gonna die. Sounds like nightmare, right? But this is the real threat. There are more than 15,000 dams in Canada. Most of them were built decades ago, designed for past climatic conditions and outdated earthquake standards. What happens if major earthquake strikes today? Or even worse, 1,000 years from now? Will this dam hold or they fail? This is the question my research seeks to answer. Dams are getting older, structural conditions are changing, and earthquakes are intensifying. We must be prepared for the worst case scenario. Dams are more than just walls holding back water. They provide us drinking water, generate electricity, and avoid flooding, as well as irrigate farmland. If one fails, city loses all. To ensure safety of dams, I'm using advanced computer simulation technique to model real-life dam behavior under extreme conditions. To investigate this, I collected record of 2 dams in Quebec and simulated their response against seismic event. I collected Saguenay earthquake record from 11 different locations across Quebec. It was one of the most severe earthquake which was ever recorded in Canada. I ran total of 33 earthquake records on each dam. But here is the thing, just testing past earthquake record isn't enough. To truly understand worst possible scenario, I took this earthquake record and scaled them up to get most powerful earthquake which we can predict in next 2,000 years. Then I ran my simulation again, this time pushing dams to their absolute limit. So what did my research find? My simulation revealed that there are 3 critical locations in dam which are most vulnerable under extreme seismic forces. If left unaddressed, these weak points could trigger catastrophic collapse, again which can result in loss of millions of economy. With changing climatic conditions and increasing seismic activity, dam safety is no longer option, it's a necessity. My goal is simple, to ensure that when ground shakes, our dams don't. Because when we understand where and why failure happens, we could stop disaster before they begin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanket. Our next presenter is Raaja Rajeshwari Manickam from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Raaja is completing her master's in nanoscience and nanotechnology, and her thesis title is Fabrication and Optimization Studies of Core Shell Nanoparticles for Advanced Chemi-Resistance Gas Sensing Applications. Her 3-minute thesis title is Tiny Particles, Mighty Impact, Nanotechnology for Gas Detection. Good luck, Raaja.
Do you know that exceeding levels of nitrogen can be a serious threat to our lives? Well, 70% of our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen and it is completely harmless. However, today, many industries such as electronics, pharmaceuticals, food storage, food packaging, and even hospitals use nitrogen for a variety of purposes. And when they release this nitrogen excessively into the environment, it can replace the oxygen, change the composition of air, and can cause suffocation and other respiratory problems for the people around. So, to make sure these industrial environments are safe, it is crucial to always monitor the level of nitrogen in the air. And that is exactly why these industries need a gas sensor for, to continuously monitor these gases and alert them when the level changes. However, the issue with the existing gas sensors is that they are expensive. They need high temperatures to work, and sometimes they can sense other gases and give us false information. Now, this is where my research comes into play. I focus on the development of a low-cost, room temperature-based gas sensor that can accurately detect nitrogen. And how do I do this? Using nanoparticles. Nanoparticles are these incredibly small but highly powerful materials that are nowadays being used for a wide variety of applications. And because these nanoparticles are very small in size, they have a large surface area which enables these gases to detect them much faster than the traditional materials. From the existing research, I found that tin nanoparticles are a promising sensing material. But tin alone can sense multiple gases and can fail to distinguish nitrogen from the others. To overcome this, I coated a thin layer of gold around these tin nanoparticles to create a core shell type structure. Now this would improve the sensing efficiency towards nitrogen and also lower the working temperature of the sensor. Currently, I'm working towards creating and testing this sensor in the lab scale, and once successfully fabricated, the future goal is to scale up this technology to the industrial levels. So, by I'm not only creating a gas sensor, but I'm developing a safe and secure environment for these industries and for the people around. Thank you.
Thank you, Raaja. Our next presenter is Anne-Marie Saucier from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Anne-Marie is completing her master's in psychology, and her thesis title is The Role of Life Course Timing of Regret in Predicting Older Adult Depressive Symptoms. Her 3-minute thesis title is Pondering the Past. Where's the harm coming from? Good luck, Anne-Marie.
Do you have any regrets? I know I do. Regrets can come in many forms and vary in many ways, but regrets in older adults, given that they have lived more years and have had more time to develop regrets, might find them especially difficult to cope with. Regrets, like I said, can vary. They can vary, for example, in their intensity. More intense regrets are already known to cause poor outcomes, such as lower positive mood. Regrets can also vary in terms of their origin. Some regrets date from early adulthood. Early adulthood is known to be a period of life filled with many key developmental decisions that one must usually undertake, such as completing an education or finding a lifelong partner. These types of events tend to impact the entire lifespan. This got me to think, is there anything about the timing of a regret that influences well-being? Hence my research question. Does the life course timing of an intense regret impact how intense regrets predict depressive symptoms in older adults? To answer this question, I analyzed data collected from 236 older adults who had answered questionnaires about their well-being and about their biggest regret. I found that intense regrets from around 24 years of age predicted increased depressive symptoms. However, intense regrets from around 61 years of age did not. This is important because it informs us that the timing of a regret is relevant for well-being. Specifically, regrets from around early adulthood predict poorer well-being. So, contrary to popular belief, just because something happened a long time ago, this does not mean its impact should be overlooked. This information is vital for older adults to know because upon learning about this research, they can try to target any regrets they have that date from a long time ago in order to improve their well-being. However, it is not just older adults who can benefit. An adult at any age, at any stage of their life, can take this information to try to safeguard their well-being in older adulthood by trying to find strategies to cope with any regrets that they have that date from early in their life. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So we're now halfway through our presentations for today, and we'll take a short break and come back at 2:50. So for those of us who are in person, there's coffee, there's snacks on the other side of the screen. So we'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to get started with our second round of presentations. And our first presenter of our second round is Mike James Ross from the School of Graduate Studies. So Mike is doing his PhD in the Individualized Program in Social Sciences, and his thesis title is A Tactical and Practical Application of Interdisciplinary Insights from Philosophy, Religion, and Indigenous Thought to Alleviate Workplace Burnout and Disengagement in the Age of AI. His 3-minute thesis title is From Burnout to Fulfillment, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Workplace Engagement. Good luck, Mike.
About 10 years ago, I was so disengaged at work that I burnt out. I couldn't function professionally, and I had to take significant time off. And actually, it took years for me to fully recover. And I'm not alone. If you yourself have not experienced disengagement and burnout at work, you probably know someone who has. In fact, a recent study by Gallup found that over 2/3 of all employees worldwide are experiencing disengagement or active disengagement in their workplaces. This is a massive problem. And it accounts for, by their estimates, over $12 trillion of economic consequences globally each year. That's 10% of global GDP. But beyond that economic cost, this suffering has knock-on effects to those individuals' families, their communities, and to the society as a whole, which consequences we can see every day. In the age of AI, this is only going to get worse. What brought me out of my burnout was a reconnection to philosophy and an understanding of how you can create meaning in your work. And that's what my research is about. By looking at ancient traditions of philosophy, of religion, and significant indigenous thought, I'm building practical and tactical tools that will help people, employers, coaches, and even individuals themselves to bring themselves out of disengagement and out of burnout and into more meaningful approaches, fulfillment, and dignity in their work. From thinkers like Aristotle or Confucius, ideas of selflessness, or even ideas that come from, for example, the Maori indigenous theory of manahau, which is the reciprocal value that comes from work, this notion of connection and transcendence. Through all those sources, I'm working with other researchers to build a set of tools that can be used to offset the consequences of burnout and disengagement and bring benefits, obviously, to the individuals, the families, the communities, and society as a whole. In doing so, I'm helping to alleviate this significant global crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Our next presenter is Anjalee Wanasinghe Mudiyanselage. She's from the Faculty of Arts and Science, and she's pursuing her PhD in Health and Exercise Science. Her thesis title is The Effects of Animal versus Plant Proteins in a High-Protein, Hypocaloric Ketogenic Diet on Adipose Tissue Characteristics and Inflammation in Individuals with Obesity. Anjalee's 3-minute thesis title is Animal versus Plant Proteins. Can protein source shape healthy weight loss? Good luck, Anjalee.
If I ask, what advice would you give to a person with obesity? Most of you would probably say, lose some weight, right? But what if I tell you that losing weight isn't always healthy? We often think that shedding pounds means better health, but the truth is how you lose weight matters. To lose weight, people often turn to diets.
And recently, plant-based diets have become very popular. But the question is, are they better than the all-meat diets? Let's see. A key difference between these two diets is the protein source. Animal proteins are rich in building blocks that our body requires. Plant protein, on the other hand, may not have all the right building blocks. Yet, some studies show plant-based diets improve health outcomes. So, could the protein source make all the difference? The aim of my research is to answer this question by investigating how the protein source eaten during weight loss affect the fat tissue, immune cells, and inflammation. But why? Imagine your body as a factory, constantly working to keep everything running smoothly. Food is your raw material, and fat tissue is your storage unit. When you eat more food than you need, the extra get packed away for later. But what if you need to pack away so much food that the factory starts to struggle? The storage units balloon up, causing the inflammatory alarms to go off. Your immune cells, the repair crew rushes in to fix everything, but may end up causing even more alarms to go off. It's a mess. This constant damage can lead to diseases like diabetes and much more. So, to investigate, I recruited people with obesity and asked them to eat a high-protein diet for 3 months. One group ate protein from plants, and the other protein from animals. And I measured the changes in fat tissue before and after the weight loss. My early results showed something interesting. Those that ate plant proteins had more of a specialized repair crew, a certain type of immune cells in their fat storage units. These results show that the type of raw material, the protein source, might be changing how the immune system interacts with fat. My next step is to determine whether these changes cause or prevent inflammation, which could help us to understand whether animal or plant protein leads to a healthier weight loss. This is important because no matter what weight loss happens, whether through diet, exercise, surgery, medications, or even a combination of, nutrition remains the foundation for long-term health. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjalee. Our next presenter is Leila Sadat Mousavi from the Gina Coady School of Engineering and Computer Science. Leila is completing her master's in electrical and computer engineering, and her thesis title is Prediction of Multimodal Brain Connectomes Using Graph Neural Networks, a Unified Approach for Neural Imaging in Alzheimer's Disease. Her 3-minute thesis title is Predicting Alzheimer's Before It's Too Late. Good luck, Leila.
When I was a child, I watched my great-grandpa slowly lose himself to Alzheimer's. It had started with forgetting names, then places, and then even his own children. Doctors diagnosed his disease when his brain was badly damaged. But what if there was an AI that could predict Alzheimer's coming decades before symptoms appear? In that way, doctors could act sooner, slow down the disease, and give my family more time to prepare. My research aims to build that AI. To begin with, brain is a complicated network with billions of physical and electrical connections. In medical science, doctors use brain scans like MRI and electrical scans to detect brain disorders. But these images do not fully show how the brain regions are connected. It's like looking at a satellite image of a city without seeing the power grid, the phone lines, or the traffic flow. To solve this, computer scientists turn these brain images into maps of connections using advanced math. These maps help us to see the hidden pattern in brain function. In my research, I'm going to use these maps and artificial intelligence to detect Alzheimer's early and to predict how it will progress. So here is the problem. Alzheimer's begins long before symptoms appear, breaking brain connections in way too small for doctors to see. So in my research, I believe that in a healthy brain, different types of brain maps match. This means that the brain networks stay well connected. But in Alzheimer's, these maps do not match, and this shows that the connections are breaking down. So to detect this, I am developing an AI program that learns this hidden pattern. It studies one type of brain map and predicts the others. If the maps align, the brain is healthy. If they don't, there is risk of Alzheimer's. This model can detect Alzheimer's early, long before symptoms even start. And I'm not stopping here. By training on years of brain maps, my model can predict the future changes of the brain. So given the brain scans from the past 2 years, it can estimate how the brain will look like in the next 5, 10, or even 20 years. In that way, doctors will be able to see how Alzheimer will progress and whether the treatments are working without waiting for years or decades. So my research is not just about diagnosing Alzheimer's early, it's about transforming the future of the brain. And at the end, we couldn't save my great-grandpa, but my research could help millions of families, giving them more time, more options, and more hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila. Our next presenter is Leigh Byrne from the Faculty of Arts and Science. Leigh is completing his master's in physics, and his thesis title is Transient Emission in Metal Organic Hybrid Perovskite Nanoparticles. And his 3-minute thesis title is Perovskites, a new material for a better tomorrow. Good luck, Leigh.
Perovskites. You've probably never heard of them, but you've certainly heard of climate change, global warming, rising coastlines, and air pollution before, right? Well, what if I told you that perovskites have the potential to solve all of these problems? Perovskites are a type of crystal, like quartz or diamond, but with some game-changing properties. They're very good at using light for our needs. They're cheap and super easy to make. They could replace the active materials in solar panels, LED displays, lasers, and more. So they have the potential to help solar energy overcome fossil fuels as our main source of energy, saving us and the planet in the process. So what's the catch, right? If perovskites are so great, then why haven't they taken over the world? Well, the problem is that they're not very stable. They break down easily when exposed to moisture and oxygen, making them an impractical solution for long-term use. It's been shown in previous research that coating them in a metal shell can protect them from the environment without ruining their performance. My research is about improving these protected crystals by changing the recipe and refining it. Changing the ingredients and their quantities, I can make the perovskites better and better. Better perovskites. I can even make perovskites that can change colors when exposed to light. So now my research aims to find out why this happens. Understanding why the color changes can help engineers down the line integrate this new property into more advanced technologies. So how do I study these color-changing crystals? I blast them with a laser, and I see how they react to the light. I check how much light they absorb, how much light they emit back, what color they emit, how long they emit each color for, and how long it takes them to change color. All of this information can help me discover the underlying mechanism that drives the color change. Ultimately, my research isn't just about making perovskites more stable, it's about making them a smarter and more responsive material, one that can adapt and understand its environment to usher in a revolution of clean energy and push technology forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Leigh. This concludes our presentations in the English category. Notre premier participant pour la compétition francophone est Ameer Nizami, de l'école de génie et d'informatique Gina Cody. Ameer complète son doctorat en génie chimique et le titre de sa thèse est Conception d'interface de nitrure de métal de transition pour les cathodes des batteries lithium-soufre. Le titre de sa présentation pour la compétition Ma thèse en 180 secondes est Pas de chauffage, pas de charge, ça va bien aller. Bonne chance, Ameer.
Lors de mon premier voyage longue distance en voiture électrique, je roule sur l'autoroute en direction de la campagne. Pas de stress, n'est-ce pas? Ma batterie est chargée à plus de 80%, ce qui est suffisant pour faire l'aller-retour. Mais il fait moins 20. L'ordinateur de ma voiture me rassure. Ça va bien aller. Mais Google Maps insiste pour trouver une station de recharge. Les chiffres ne s'additionnent pas. Ma batterie se décharge plus rapidement que la distance parcourue. Pour conserver de l'énergie, je coupe le chauffage. Je serre le volant comme un glaçon humain alors que le niveau de la batterie et la température de l'habitacle chutent. Pendant les hivers froids du Canada, la conductivité est un problème majeur pour les batteries. Les VE peuvent perdre jusqu'à 40% de leur autonomie prévue. Mais l'anxiété liée à l'autonomie doit-elle faire partie de l'expérience? Mes recherches portent sur les revêtements de nanomatériaux destinés à améliorer la conductivité de la batterie. Imaginez les ions lithium comme des véhicules qui ont besoin d'une route lisse pour se déplacer. Cependant, dans des conditions froides, ils sont ralentis, ce qui entraîne une perte d'énergie. Pour résoudre ce problème, j'utilise une technique spéciale appelée dépôt de couche atomique. J'applique des fils minces, comme le titane, sur la surface de la cathode, le côté positif de la batterie. Ces enrobages aident les ions à circuler plus facilement, ce qui évite la dégradation de performance. Avec cette méthode, j'obtiens une capacité améliorée en ajustant la composition, l'épaisseur et la température de dépôt. Grâce à cette approche, les batteries seront plus fiables, non seulement pour les VE, mais aussi pour le stockage d'énergie renouvelable. Mon espoir, que personne n'aura à s'inquiéter d'une batterie qui se décharge trop vite en hiver. Merci.
Merci, Ameer. Notre prochain participant pour la compétition francophone est Mc Manus, de la Faculté des Arts et Sciences. Megan complète son doctorat en biologie et le titre de sa thèse est Traitement non-invasif de la cardiomyopathie hypertrophique par la technologie Cas9-RNP ciblée par Ultrasons. Le titre de sa présentation pour la compétition Ma thèse en 180 secondes est Ultrasons et thérapie génique, ouvrir la porte à un cœur en meilleure santé. Bonne chance, Megan.
Vous avez sûrement déjà commandé un produit et vous deviez être à la maison pour le recevoir. L'élément angoissant de cette situation est que la date et l'heure de livraison sont toujours pendant vos heures de travail et le livreur ne peut jamais vous le donner. C'est le même problème dans la situation qu'un patient doit recevoir une thérapie génétique pour une condition cardiaque. Justement, une personne sur 200 est porteuse d'une mutation génétique dans son cœur qui mène à l'affaiblissement de l'organe. Pour soigner la maladie à la source, il faut envoyer un traitement génétique pour éliminer ou reconstruire l'élément défectueux de l'ADN. Malheureusement, les méthodes de livraison actuelles ne permettent pas de livrer le colis directement au cœur. Le chemin est bloqué par une barrière autour de vos vaisseaux sanguins. Imaginez ça comme le livreur qui n'est pas capable de déposer le colis parce que l'entrée de votre maison est toujours verrouillée. Par conséquent, les traitements ne sont pas efficaces à soigner le cœur. Il faut donc trouver de nouvelles façons d'ouvrir cette porte et donner le traitement. Ma recherche servira des animaux pour construire la base des connaissances nécessaires pour développer une nouvelle méthode de thérapie génétique. J'utiliserai l'ultrason focalisé, semblable à ce qui est utilisé pour les échographies de grossesse, pour ouvrir le chemin au cœur. L'ultrason sera utilisé avec des microbulbes qui vont contenir les éléments qui pourront réparer l'ADN. Ces bulbes se font agiter et éclater par l'ultrason guidé, ce qui permet d'ouvrir la barrière et de déposer le traitement génétique. C'est comme si le livreur recevait une clé pour accéder à votre maison et déposer le colis. Une fois le colis déposé, l'élément défectueux de l'ADN est éliminé et la porte se referme comme si rien n'avait changé. Après le traitement, je vais étudier les gènes du cœur ainsi que ceux des autres organes pour confirmer que le traitement est spécifique. Ensuite, je vais tester la sécurité en faisant des analyses moléculaires. Et enfin, je vais déterminer l'efficacité du traitement en regardant le fonctionnement cardiaque des animaux. Ce seront parmi les premiers résultats obtenus à la suite d'un projet de recherche qui utilise l'ultrason pour donner un traitement génétique. Le traitement aura pour but de vous être plus bénéfique à long terme parce qu'il ira plus loin que seulement traiter vos symptômes. Bien sûr, je ne peux pas donner une clé pour accéder à votre maison, mais je peux vous offrir un traitement innovant qui servira de clé à votre cœur. Merci.
Merci, Megan. Le dernier participant pour la compétition francophone est Medhi Shamekhi, de la Faculté des Arts et Sciences. Medhi complète son doctorat en physique et le titre de sa thèse est « Conception et caractérisation computationnelle des catalyseurs en alliage bimétallique pour la réaction de réduction de l'azote ». Et le titre de sa thèse pour la présentation « Ma thèse en 180 secondes » est « Engrais vert pour un avenir durable ». Bonne chance, Medhi.
Je pense que vous êtes d'accord avec moi que la survie est notre instinct plus fondamental. Et pour survivre, nous avons besoin de manger et respirer. Mais nourrir près de 9 milliards de personnes est impossible sans engrais, qui accélère la production agricole. L'ammoniac est l'ingrédient clé des engrais, mais produire de l'ammoniac rejette une énorme quantité de gaz nocifs dans l'atmosphère chaque année. Autrement dit, nous plions notre planète juste pour pouvoir manger. C'est pas cool. Donc, nous devons trouver une alternative durable pour produire de l'ammoniac. Une approche prometteuse consiste à utiliser un dispositif électrochimique pour convertir l'azote en ammoniac. L'avantage de cette méthode est qu'elle utilise de l'énergie renouvelable. Mais il n'y a pas de solution facile dans la vie. Cette réaction n'est pas encore assez efficace. Pour changer cela, nous avons besoin d'un catalyseur optimal. Qu'est-ce qu'un catalyseur? C'est une substance qui accélère une réaction sans être consommée. On pourrait tester des centaines de matériaux en laboratoire, mais cela prendrait beaucoup de temps et coûterait cher. Certains disent qu'un modèle est un mensonge qui nous aide à voir la vérité. Grâce à la modélisation informatique, je peux simuler les catalyseurs, analyser leur efficacité et prédire les meilleurs candidats plus rapidement. En tant que physicien, je résous des équations mathématiques afin d'explorer les propriétés des catalyseurs et identifier le catalyseur optimal. Et bien sûr, il est important de valider les résultats par des expériences. Et voici la meilleure nouvelle. Mes simulations ont prédit que des alliages à base d'argent pourraient fonctionner. Et nos collaborateurs ont réussi à produire de l'ammoniac avec ces matériaux. Nous pouvons diviser les défis auxquels nous sommes confrontés en problèmes plus petits et les résoudre grâce à la modélisation et collaboration. Et je pense que c'est la beauté de la science. Merci.
Merci, Medhi. So this concludes today's 3-minute thesis presentations and the presentations for ma thèse en 180 secondes. So I'd just like to say thank you to all of our speakers for their very engaging presentations. You all did a great job. So now is the time to vote for your favorite presentation. So this is the People's Choice voting, and it can be done for in-person audience by scanning the QR code, which is on the screen now. Or for our Zoom audience, you can go to the chat, and there should be the link to the poll posted there. So a few key things with this is that you can only vote once for your favorite presentation. So voting will go on until 3:30, and then we will be back for a quick question and answer period with our presenters. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. So while our judges deliberate, we're going to have a question and answer session with our participants. So for those of you who are on Zoom, you can type any questions you have into the chat. And for those of us in person at the fourth space, you can raise your hand and then someone will bring a microphone to you. Just a reminder to our presenters, please come up all the way to the front when you're answering a question. So feel free to ask them anything about their experience as part of the 3-minute thesis or about their research in general. So we'll try and get through as many questions as we can. So as people are kind of thinking up some questions or typing them in chat, I'd like to start with a question that I'm sure a lot of you have, which is, while preparing for the 3-minute thesis, what were some challenges that you experienced, and then how did you work to overcome them? Yeah, Nabeel.
Thank you, Emma. Well, in terms of, the main challenge for me was really trying to synthesize my speech to a point where everyone could understand, right? So for me, something I've heard is like, try to explain it to your grandmother, explain it to your mother, right? But then I thought of something else actually. Try to explain it to yourself 5 years ago or 6 years ago before you even started university, right? Would that person all those years ago understand? So it was really about, like, you know, thinking back to that time, like how would I speak back then? What would my lingo be, you know? And trying to make it accessible to everybody. So that was one of my main challenges, and that's how I overcame it.
Thank you, Nabeel. That's actually a really nice segue into the second question that I had for everyone, which is, when you're preparing your 3-minute thesis script, you kind of have to throw out a lot of the technical language that you'd normally use. So what were like some other ways, or some ways that you were able to work to overcome this challenge and still like maintain the essence of your research? Yeah, Alina.
So I think the process is really well designed for us to do that. We met once a week with a multidisciplinary group with people who were going through the same process. And, you know, even myself, who complains a lot about jargon, I was using it because you get so used to it. But being able to present in front of people from other faculties that were like, I have no idea what you're talking about, or what did you mean by this? It helped me a lot with being able to land the concepts and use words that we would use in our day-to-day. And as someone who works as a consultant, is something that I appreciate having as a skill, because right now I'll be able to get through clients or potential clients in a better way without sounding like too academic or something that is so abstract. So the process itself is built for us to work on that.
Great. Any questions from our audience in person? All right, I have more, so we can keep going. Okay, so in terms for our presenters, I'm very curious just about the 3-minute thesis process as a total. So what were maybe some skills that you developed over the course of the last few weeks, and are there ways that you envision applying them in your future, either research or even outside academia in your more day-to-day life? Yeah, Anne-Marie.
I think this program has helped me be more confident in terms of public speaking. I also believe it has helped me express in a way that's more flowing and more presentable. And I think that this will be very applicable for future presentations I'll do. And I also just interactions when it comes to explaining my thesis and what I'm working on with other people.
Oh, that's tall. Okay. And just one more on kind of the 3-minute thesis experience for our presenters. Yeah, okay. So what advice would you give to people who are kind of interested in participating in the experience, but are maybe a little bit hesitant, maybe are a bit shy about public speaking? Do you have advice on ways to kind of overcome this? Yeah, Mike.
Hey, I keeping it short, I think the thing to do is to just do it, right? I mean, they have such great coaches and support and all the group of people that we got to do the work with. If you are thinking about doing it, just launch yourself into it, right? There's no pressure, it's a lot of fun. There's no way of messing it up, there's no failure. So just do it and enjoy yourself would be my suggestion.
Okay, there we go. Great. I also have some questions about people's research, but I don't know, do we have any in the chat as well for the moment? All right, wonderful. So I have a few more myself. For Alina, I was curious, when we're looking at the kind of images that people draw or the situations that they're using visual resources, is there certain situations that come up more often in terms of team conflict, or is it more of just general processes and thoughts that people want to express?
I'm obviously biased, and I would say we can use it anytime, and everyone should use it. But I'm specifically working with interdisciplinary teams. Miscommunication happens everywhere. It doesn't matter how homogeneous, if that's even a word your team is. But with all the diversity in the workplace right now, neurodiversity, different cultures, different languages, miscommunication has risen. And then just being able to explain things doodly and make sure that we can see what we're talking about. So we're not saying like, yeah, I get it, but we have something completely different in our head. So it's just a way for us to kind of like triangulate, jargon, but be able to hear what someone is saying, see it, the more senses that we involve, the best. So for any new, I would say like you can use it anywhere, but for new projects specifically, where you're aligning your team, being able to use these tools will help make sure that everyone is moving on the same direction. I hope I answered your question. Yes?
Yeah.
We do have a question from Zoom. It's a question for Leila. And the question was, what challenges did you face when working on your project?
Okay, so first, hi everyone. If I want to talk about my challenge, if a person from a lab asks about my research, I would say that it's graph theory. I'm working with graphs. I'm developing a model that detects the graphs and predicts some other graphs. But when I started participating in this training, it actually helped me to understand more about my research. So like trying to put it in some words that even random people who's just passing by can understand, or even the 10-year-old can understand what you're doing. It was a really big challenge for me, like to thinking of some examples, thinking like, for example, of a city and all those things, was really a big challenge for me as a first-year researcher with no background in research. So in general, about this 3-minute presentation, I would say that it helped me a lot to somehow get deeper insights into what am I really doing in my research. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Javier.
Thank you. I have a question for actually everyone, and I'm kind of curious because when we're doing research, when we're presenting research, we go for graphs, we go for images, and going for a full slide deck to kind of like talk about our research. But then you had to summarize what you're doing one static slide, so not even an animation. So I'm curious to know like how you came up with some of those ideas, how you pictured your research or imagined that research. So if anyone wants to share anything, I'd be curious to know.
Sanket?
Hello. Yeah, when I started with my script, I had same doubt. But our coaches, Busayo, she was like very particular when we were writing down our scripts. So she was like, think like you're telling same your project to someone who is not from engineering. For example, I'm doing civil engineering. So try to write it down like you are explaining it to your friend from another background. So yeah, that really helped me. And also my peers, they helped me during the sessions, because whenever we were discussing our scripts, everyone was giving feedback that, oh, this part I'm not getting it because of their background. So yeah, that helped me, like peers, coaches, and again, simplifying things like you're telling it to, kid, maybe. Yeah, thank you.
We have another question on Zoom. There's a couple questions actually. Everyone and people on Zoom are interested to know. Nabeel, why concussion research?
So the short answer, it's personal. For those of you who don't know, I'm an athletic therapist. I've been working with Collège Montréal for a number of years now, and specifically I work with their football team, right? So in my presentation, I had examples of Zach Easter, for example, so how he ended up getting multiple concussions and ended up taking his own life away. I had a joke there about the NFL, but really like. So Zach, names like Zach's, it's not just a name for me. It's not just something I read on a piece of paper and then just forget about, right? Like to me, that's a person. And within my own line of work, I work with 50 to 60 kids almost every day throughout the season, right? So, and inevitably a concussion is bound to happen, right? So to me, it's if I can help treat a child or help treat a kid in whatever capacity, make sure that they don't go through any of the same experiences that anyone else has. To me, that's a win, and to me, that's why it's so personal to me. Thank you.
We have another question. C'est une question pour Leigh. Qu'est-ce qui empêche... I lost it. Oh, qu'est-ce qui empêche aujourd'hui le perovskite d'être utilisé dans nos panneaux solaires?
Les perovskites, c'est des matériaux qui sont quand même très nouveaux. Fait qu'il y a beaucoup de recherches qu'on a besoin de faire encore pour qu'ils deviennent accessibles dans le monde et pas juste dans le labo. Le problème, principalement, c'est qu'ils sont très sensibles à l'oxygène puis à l'humidité. Fait que pour les utiliser dans les panneaux solaires, maintenant, ils sont juste trop sensibles. Leur performance est presque supérieure au matériel qu'on utilise en ce moment, mais dans le long terme, ils ne fonctionnent pas très bien.
OK. Des autres ou OK, moi j'ai une plus. Parfait. Alors, pour Medhi, Megan et Ameer, vous avez fait les compétitions anglophones dans les années passées. Alors, comment est-ce que le processus a changé la deuxième fois en français? Ameer.
Donc, c'est pas trop différent, mais il y a des... la différence dans la langue, c'est le français a besoin de 25 à 30% plus de mots pour dire la même chose qu'en anglais. Donc, c'est quelque chose qu'il faut se rappeler quand vous écrivez les brouillons de ton texte, puis vous pratiquez. Pour moi, additionnellement, le genre du mot, quand vous parlez vite, il faut se rappeler le genre aussi, puis c'est juste un autre truc à se rappeler. Donc, c'est pas ma langue maternelle, donc c'est plus de complications. Mais à part de ça, c'est quand même le même processus, oui.
We had a general question on Zoom, so maybe if someone would... the question was, what informed your decision for choosing a particular slide to use? Maybe someone has a backstory there.
Thank you for the question. I guess what informed my slide decision was trying to make it as simple, easy, representative of the picture that I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to explain. So then it's a matter of kind of putting in 3-4 ideas, shooting them towards the coaches, and then trying to figure and hope that something works for the message that you're trying to convene. That's pretty much how I went through it.
Great. So I think we might take a quick 5-minute break, have some water, have some of the coffee that's left, and then we'll come back when we have a decision from our judges. Thank you, everyone. Okay, welcome back, everyone. So we're now at the moment that we've all been waiting for. Our judges have made their decision. So before I give the floor to the judges, I just want to have our participants another round of applause for their amazing work today. Great, and I will now bring out our judges for our People's Choice, our second runner-up, and our overall winner.
Hello, everyone. We'll just start by saying it's been an absolute honor to participate in the 3-minute thesis competition for 2025. And unsurprisingly, it was a very challenging decision to make. But a decision has to be made nonetheless. And we do want to start with the People's Choice Award and share with everyone what the people have said. We are pleased to announce that Alina Gutierrez Mejia is the recipient of the People's Choice winner of Concordia University's 2025 3-minute thesis competition. Come on down. And on to the judges' decision. We are pleased to announce that Nabeel Chaumun is the second runner-up of Concordia University's 2025 3-minute thesis competition. Congratulations.
Okay, so we've got a couple of prizes remaining. And I want to second what Lisa said. This process for us, the judging decision-making process really was difficult. When we started filling out the categories, the numbers for the categories, I quickly ran into the realization that I kept hitting the top. And that is the quality of this cohort of speakers today. It really, really was excellent. And I felt incredibly proud of the grad students and programs that we have here at Concordia. So you're amazing. You really are. Okay, I also want to remind everyone that you're all competing in the same category, okay? So we had speakers today in English and also in French, but you are all still being considered within the same category. So that being said, the first runner-up of Concordia University's 2025 3MT competition is Marie Sophie Roy. Marie, come up here. So she is going to be representing Concordia at NAGS and at the Eastern Regionals. And that means that it is time to announce our winner. So our winner this year is Mc Manus. And Megan is going to be representing Concordia at ACFES this year. That's all from us.
Great. So big congratulations to all of our winners. And thanks again to our participants for sharing your research with us today. A celebration is in order. We'd also like to thank our judges again for generously offering their time and having the very, very hard challenge of choosing our winner for today. We'd also like to thank our Grad Pro Skills coaches who helped guide their participants to the competition-ready state that you're seeing them in today. So we had Varda Nasir, Busayo Ladipo, and Jacob Baby. And we have special thanks to our guest coaches, Noah Lebranche, Javier Ibarra Isasi, and Racha Sheikh Ibrahim. We'd also like to give a special thanks to Racha, who's much more than just a guest coach. She's the one working feverishly behind the scenes to make sure that this whole event is running nice and smooth. And of course, we'd like to say thank you to all of our audience members for being here today to encourage the innovative research that's happening at Concordia University and for help sharing our research passion of our competitors. So our final thank you is to the Fourth Space, who again are hosting us this year and doing an amazing job on tech. So this concludes our 2025 Concordia 3-minute thesis competition, and we'll be back in 2026, and we hope to see you next year. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone joining us also online. I appreciate all the questions. Also, the enthusiastic People's Choice voting. Okay, we're going to be closing up the Zoom. We're going to close up the live stream now. Just remember, it remains available on our YouTube channel. You can revisit it there. You can throw some love in those comments. Okay, have a fantastic weekend.